Brown family. This is Yvette Carnell, and we have a lot to talk about tonight because last night, as most of you already know, was election night. And those of you who were with me late into the night know that we here, Yvette Carnell and the Funky Academic, Arami Ose Frimpong,
Yeah.
we were very surprised at the election results last night. So I want to talk today about what that means. Like, how should we feel? How should black people be feeling right now? I've been on the internet, and I see a lot of black people are very upset. One of my Facebook friends just told me that they're protesting Trump in Atlanta somewhere, downtown. How are you going to protest the person who was just elected president? So, you know, there's a lot of hand-wringing. There's a lot of second-day kind of quarterbacking going on today. And I think we should just spend a little bit of time addressing what happened last night. What happened? Why did it happen? And what is that going to mean for black people? One of the first things I think I want to address, I think we should start talking about some numbers, because there's a lot of blame going around. And there are a lot of people trying to blame the black community because we didn't show out. We didn't turn out at levels that was similar to Barack Obama's election. And that's what Barack Obama, that's what he said we were going to deliver.
Did we owe him? I think we owed his legacy to show out. But I don't think this election it wasn't about me. This was a war between some white women against some other white women, and one of those groups won. If I read the numbers correctly.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have Barack Obama was getting more of these white votes, and when you look at a lot of these counties, these white counties, where Barack Obama was the strongest, Hillary Clinton was the weakest. So how are you going to blame me? These white women and to a certain extent white people didn't turn out for you at the same levels that they turned out for Obama. So they didn't turn out for you, a white woman, on the same levels that they turned out for the first black president. So that tells me we need to talk about Hillary Clinton.
We need to talk about Hillary Clinton. We need to talk about Hillary Clinton. We need to talk about Hillary Clinton. She's a mediocre candidate. She was a mediocre candidate last year when I said, Hillary Clinton, I worry because she's a mediocre candidate. And look, if you people are serious about SCOTUS, if you're serious about making sure that the judges reflect your principles, do not back Hillary Clinton. She's awful. So I'm going to tell you this early so that in a year from now, you're not going to get into trouble. But I don't think they listen to me. Do you think they listen to me?
I don't think they listen to any of us.
What was it? What do you think it was about me that made him not take me seriously?
What do you think it was?
I don't know, but a lot of people got their feelings hurt when I said, look, I want to save you the trauma in November. It is now November 2015, so I'll tell you now, if you elect Hillary Clinton, I'm pretty sure the way I read, I'm pretty good at this, the way I read elections, it's going to be a race to the bottom, and you don't want to be in a race to the bottom with someone who's such a good gutter fighter as Donald Trump, because you're going to give the American people a choice between either a huge jerk like Donald Trump or like a little jerk like Hillary Clinton. And in that situation, I know American people, in that situation, they're going to pick the real thing.
Yeah, I got to give it to you. You were right. And somebody on my page just posted that Rachel just posted that Hillary Clinton didn't really campaign in the Rust Belt. She didn't really campaign in Wisconsin like she should have. And I think that's because the polls were indicating to her that she was good. She was good in Wisconsin. So when you look at the exit polls in a lot of these places, the one thing that kind of stands out for me is that you see 53% of these people saying, yeah, we support Obama. But you also see a large segment of those people saying, but we're voting for Trump. So what that tells me is we can't make this into just a racial issue. You know, it's kind of interesting. We're coming off of two terms of the first black president. 2 terms of the first black president. Okay? And so now everyone's saying this country is so racist that's why they want Trump. That it was a rebuke of the 8 years of the first black president. I think racism is a part of it, but I don't think it's everything.
Yeah, all right. So here's the deal. Barack Obama, people don't understand, his biggest talent with respect to electoral politics is getting Barack Obama elected, right? Like under his watch, the Democrats lost some 900 state legislative offices, 13 governors, I want to say around 13 senators. Like remember, when Barack Obama came in 2008, the Congress was headed by Nancy Pelosi. Like he lost all of that. He is not very good getting other people elected. He is the best arguing for himself. His best policy actually is himself. Like this guy is not the substance guy, and he's not good for like Democratic Party politics because like nobody knows what the Democrats are about now after 8 years of his reign, which means that he wasn't about anything except Barack Obama. That's why we got such nice family photos and such mediocre policy, I suspect.
Someone on my Facebook page is commented that 12% of Trump voters approved of Obama, but wouldn't vote for Hillary.
No, because Obama wasn't about anything except Obama. They liked Obama. And that was what Obama was about. That was his product. And he tried to sell, like, anytime he tries to sell some other product, people don't want to buy it.
And people don't want to buy Hillary.
And people don't want to buy Hillary.
I didn't support Obama in the second term. I mistakenly supported him the first time around.
You were naive.
But I wasn't going to support Hillary. And I told everyone I'm not going to support Hillary if she's the nominee. When I was supporting Bernie Sanders, I said if Hillary Clinton ends up being the nominee, I will not support her. Under no circumstance will I support Hillary Clinton.
So do you feel bad? Do you feel like you didn't give people warning or like that you spoiled the election?
No.
Did you give them enough warning?
No, I told them exactly what I was going to do. And now they're mad that I did what I said I was going to do. You can't be mad at me. I told you this is what I'm going to do. I told you. I told him this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to support Hillary Clinton. So I don't understand how now you're upset.
Because you didn't listen.
Because you didn't listen to me. Because what happens is most of the time we are playing. Most of the time we're playing. Most of the time we say we're not going to support the Democratic nominee, but eventually we come around and we do. And so what's happened is that you saw people soundly, I don't think I've ever seen someone so soundly who was supposed to be, I mean, we saw, I've said this 3 or 4 times. We saw a coronation. We were watching a coronation of Hillary Clinton. And now that's over with. That's over. That's over with. These people came out and rejected her. They soundly rejected her.
Yeah,
now,
it wasn't close. Let's be clear about these election results. You go into the numbers, and it wasn't close. She was beaten. It was a rout. So it's not like, third-party spoilers did it. No, we didn't want her.
No.
We were like, this was not her place.
No. And we still don't want her. There's no regret here. There's no regret that Hillary Clinton is not the nominee for me. Even though people who are trying to guilt me into feeling that way and saying that, well, you're going to allow a white supremacist and all of, white supremacy is on the march. Well, if white supremacy is on the march, what you shouldn't have done is given me a candidate who I could not support. Let's just think about this for a moment. Let's just think about where America is. We just bailed out all the banks a few years ago. We bailed out all the banks. Those banks gutted American people. We had these awful trade deals, and that decimated the middle class. And so what the Democrats gave us was a person who is beholden to that very establishment. She is beholden to the banks, going around getting a $225,000 fee for a speech. What do you think they were paying for? They weren't paying to just hear Hillary Clinton speak. She can't speak. She's not charismatic. Nobody wants to hear Hillary Clinton talk. They were paying her for the day that she would become president and carry forward their interests. And so what the Trump people did is basically said, that day ain't coming. We're going to stop that day right here. And I mean, people love to talk about how ignorant Trump supporters are. But we're the ones who supported the Clintons. Every indicator that we had showed us that the Clintons were not on our team. You had both of these people running around after they left the White House scurrying for money like little schemers. I mean, it wasn't like you weren't getting money for your books or a speech here and there. That's what happens with all ex-presidents. But these people were running around amassing wealth like the world was going to end tomorrow with the Clinton Global Initiative, with speeches. And the Clinton Global Initiative is nothing but a sham. It's nothing but a slush fund where they get money from capitalists looking to invest in emerging markets, because there's no money in developed countries because we have everything already. We have all the companies we need. So it's much more difficult. So they're running around. You had somebody who was running around doing this for years. She's been running around doing this. She is the establishment. She's everything we don't like. Her unfavorables are the highest of any candidate in modern history. And this is who the Democrats put forward to represent us. And you want me to feel bad about not supporting her. It doesn't make much sense. Especially when I told you I was never going to do that anyway. And when you look at the numbers are very interesting. When you look at the numbers, when I look at them, I'm looking at something right now. And it says black men voted for Trump in the number of 13%. 13% of black men came out and voted for Trump. 4% of black women. Okay, so that's like 8% of the black vote in general that Donald Trump got. That's 1 percentage point more than Mitt Romney. Donald Trump got a little bit more of the Hispanic vote, Latino vote than Mitt Romney. So you're going around talking about what an awful candidate he is to the Latino community, and he did better than your most recent candidate. So I think if you're an establishment candidate, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you have to ask yourself today, what did you do wrong? Because it's not that everybody voted wrong. It's not the case that everybody's stupid. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with the candidates that you put forth? What's wrong with all these candidates that were rejected by Republican voters? These people in some precincts, the white turnout was higher than they've seen in a very long time. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that all of them are racist, because a lot of these places were areas where, like I said, Barack Obama had done very well. So you can't make the case that it was just racism. Racism is one aspect of it, but you can't look at it just through that lens. I think, if you really look at it,
she was a bad candidate.
She was an awful candidate.
Like, at the end of the day, she was a bad candidate.
She was awful.
She was bad, and she was bad in all of these obvious and predictable ways. And I tried, and I was explaining today on my Facebook, and it's hard because, like, there's some cognitive dissonance going on. Because I was trying to explain that she was bad in all of these awful and predictable ways, but the problem, people didn't see it because they didn't want to see it. Like, you had a whole clique, and I want to call them a clique. They were a clique. You had a whole clique of largely white professional women who said they cared about SCOTUS and who said they cared about the Supreme Court, but they wanted to vote for the weaker candidate more than they wanted to beat Donald Trump. They said last year, they said, we'll do anything to beat Donald Trump. And when it came down to voting for Hillary Clinton, the weaker candidate, or Bernie Sanders, the empirically stronger candidate, they chose the weaker candidate because as much as they think, or they said they wanted to secure the Supreme Court and beat Donald Trump, what they really wanted to do was to vote for one of their tribe. And they did that. They shoved Hillary Clinton down our face. And, it turns out that she was actually the weaker candidate, like all of the numbers predicted. So I really, if the problem wasn't so much cognitive, it was attitudinal. Like, they just didn't want to believe that Hillary Clinton was the weaker candidate. Although, like, I said she was a weaker candidate, the poll said she was a weaker candidate. They just didn't want to believe it. And so, like,
I think they want what they want. I think the establishment, maybe not run-of-the-mill Democratic voters, but I think the establishment knew, but they were like, you're going to take it anyway. Because she is the candidate that is best for us. We may need another bailout. So what are we going to do if we need another bailout? If we need another bailout, we need Hillary Clinton. And so I think they were doing, as they always do, they were doing what the establishment, by putting forth Hillary Clinton, was doing what was best for the establishment. And people say, well, she won fair and square. No, WikiLeaks showed that the DNC was supposed to be unbiased, but they weren't unbiased. They tipped the scale. They tipped the scale in favor of Hillary Clinton. And so now everyone is upset at Republican and conservative voters.
They need to be, physician, heal thyself.
Mm-mm.
Physician, heal thyself. Nobody...
That's what you do, though. That's what, if you lose an election, that's what you do. You look at your, what's wrong with your candidate? What's wrong with your party? Don't go around trying to blame where we're stupid. No, we're not stupid. We saw those checks. We saw her getting checks from, what was it? Sitting around with people in Saudi Arabia. I mean, the thing that really did happen to Hillary Clinton is everything that we thought about her, everything that we've always believed about her was revealed to be true, thanks to WikiLeaks. Thanks to WikiLeaks, every suspicion that we had about Hillary Clinton revealed was found to be true. And that's where we were. And so you ask people, well, why did they choose Donald Trump? Donald Trump still wasn't the right guy. Why did they choose him? He was their only choice. He was the only non-establishment candidate, and he was saying all the right things. Who else were they going to choose? He was their Molotov cocktail, and they had one shot, and they took it. Bernie was our one shot, and we didn't take it. Now, of course, Bernie became a sheepdog after it was over. That's what he's going to do. That's what you do. He wants a life within that party, and I don't think he handled any of that right. But I'm saying the Republican Party looked at it, and they said, we got one shot. We got one shot to take a shot at this establishment. You know, the Republican Party warned their people, too. The Republican voters warned their people, too. The Tea Party was the warning to the Republican establishment that we're sick of this. We don't want any more of this. And after the Tea Party, the Republican Party did the same thing the Democrats did. They gave the Tea Party Mitt Romney. Now, if you're the Tea Party and you're looking for authenticity and you're looking for somebody to stand up for Republican ideals, why in the world would you give them Mitt Romney? And I think that's the same thing the Democratic Party did. The Democratic Party gave Democrats Hillary Clinton. We had one shot, which was Bernie, and they gave us Hillary Clinton. And I think on both sides, whether you're Democrat or Republican, I think what we're seeing is that people are kind of tired of these plastic android candidates who don't speak to any of our needs. We're sick of that. And so what we're looking for is someone who can speak to us in a very common sense way. Yes, NAFTA didn't work. It took your jobs. That's a bad pact. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's simple. That's simple, and that's what Trump did. Not, well, I think it might need to be renegotiated. I'm not sure. We're going to look into it. We're going to form a committee. Nobody wants to hear that anymore. Because white America is feeling the pain, too. I'm not saying that there are not a disproportionate number of racists on the conservative wing, but white America is feeling that pain. And their reaction to that was the only choice they had, which was Donald Trump. I can't be mad at that when we didn't even do anything. We had one shot and we let the Democrats tip the scales, and then we went for Hillary. So I can't say anything. And black people warned the Democratic Party. I remember when we were in the primaries, Michelle Alexander wrote a piece that sort of went viral and said Hillary Clinton, the Clintons don't deserve our vote. She doesn't deserve our vote. That was a warning shot from the black community saying we have a problem with this candidate. Black people are the base, and we're telling the Democrats we have a problem with the candidate that you're looking to put in that spot. You didn't care. You put her in there anyway. You gave us Hillary Clinton. And now you have nothing and nobody to blame but yourselves. And so, when we look, even when we look forward, and I'm trying to think about what this means, and we look, the one thing I hope people don't do is allow ourselves to kind of be scapegoated. We didn't do this.
No, this isn't about us. This race, as soon as Bernie got out of this race was not about us anymore.
And it was not winnable anymore from what we see.
Yeah.
Now, I admit I made a mistake. I honestly thought it would be a close race, but I thought Hillary would pull it off. And this is why I thought she would pull it off. I thought the campaign that the media launched the other weekend against Donald Trump, when they basically accused him of sexual assault, that was a 24/7 loop all weekend long. And I thought, okay, these people are going to pay attention to the mainstream media and they're not going to vote for Trump. But what you saw is that these Republican voters rejected everything. They rejected the mainstream media. They rejected the mainstream political establishment. They rejected pollsters. They rejected everything. And they changed the world as we know it, regardless. So I want to hear from you all. The call-in number is 970-296-8222. But before I do that, I want to play one clip, and I want to talk a little bit about Obama's legacy in terms of what Obama thought was going to happen and what didn't happen and why it didn't happen. So let's play the clip of Obama talking to the Congressional Black Caucus.
So that they could pull that lever. So if I hear anybody saying their vote does not matter, that it doesn't matter who we elect, read up on your history. It matters. We've got to get people to vote. In fact, if you want to give Michelle and me a good send-off, and that was a beautiful video, but don't just watch us walk off into the sunset now. Get people registered to vote. If you care about our legacy, realize everything we stand for is at stake. All the progress we've made is at stake in this election. My name may not be on the ballot, but our progress is on the ballot. Tolerance is on the ballot. Democracy is on the ballot. Justice is on the ballot. Good schools are on the ballot. Ending mass incarceration, that's on the ballot right now. And there is one candidate who will advance those things. And there is another candidate whose defining principle, the central theme of his candidacy, is opposition to all that we've done. There's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter. It all matters. And after we have achieved historic turnout in 2008 and 2012, especially in the African American community, I will consider it a personal insult, an insult to my legacy, if this community lets down its guard and fails to activate itself in this election. You want to give me a good send-up?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Barack Obama telling us that he would consider it a personal insult if we didn't come out and support his candidate.
Do I owe him anything?
I don't.
He should be saying thank you. Thank you for.
He
I don't
should.
owe you.
But the problem isn't whether or not we owe him really at this point. The problem is that he owed us. We came out. It's not even about race. We came out and turned. We came out and did for Barack Obama what conservatives did for Donald Trump last night. We turned red states blue for him, and he didn't do anything. He owed us, and he never paid. So how do you owe somebody and you never paid them, and then you turn around and say they owe you? That's like that's like you owing me $10, and then 2 months later you come around and say, I take some more. You say, where you at? You what's going on? I mean, you can't do that. You owe us still, Barack. You owe us still. We don't owe you anything. Listen, there's no doubt in my mind. There is no doubt in my mind that if Obama had come through for black people in a major way.
That's true.
And pass some serious policies for black people.
I'm talking about a jobs bill.
Yes.
I'm talking a schools bill.
I'm not even anything that big.
Get serious about cleaning the lead out of my
Yes.
water. Not just of hosting a fundraiser, but actually get serious about calling the Army Corps of Engineers. Yeah. If he would have done that and like been aggressive about it and said, no, I'm taking care of my black people.
We show up. Because there will be things underway, projects underway right now that we could say, I want to protect that, right? If he had some policies underway that were being implemented to serve the needs of the black community would have said, you know what? I can't let Trump get in office because I want to protect this stuff that Obama has set up for me. So I'm doing that. But this is the president who signed a multi-billion-dollar food stamp cut, which disproportionately affects poor people, which is black people who are disproportionately poor. This is that president. So that president can't now call on me and say, come out and help show up my legacy. You can't ask anything of me if you didn't do anything for me. You know, trust is an exchange. You give, I give. You give, I give. Barack Obama has just been a taker. All he does is take from the black community. He told us in 2007-8, we got to come out. Told us in 2010 for the midterms, we got to come out. Told us in 2012, you got to reelect me. We ain't gotten anything. And then you're going to come out in 2016 and say you got to vote for Hillary. Man, if you don't get out of that White House and leave us alone, we don't want to hear all that. We don't want to hear all that. And you know who was crying crocodile tears last night?
Who was crying?
It was Van Jones.
Well, yeah, Van Jones. All right, so Van Jones he's a special man, right? So I theorize that in 2009, when Barack asked him to move out, he should have just gone to war with Barack Obama. Van Jones was right. He was fired for the wrong reasons. He was fired because Barack Obama just got a little bit of heat and he didn't know what to do with the heat. So Van Jones should have gone to war with Barack Obama over that and like fought for green jobs. You remember back when Van Jones was the green job guy? He was a big deal. He was a big deal. But instead of doing that, he I don't know. He kind of lost his nerve and maybe he never had spine to begin with. But what ticked me off about but what ticked me off about Van Jones is throughout the entire primary, when we had a chance, when he was a black guy on television, he could have said, look, Hillary Clinton is not as popular as you all think she is. I'm backing Bernie Sanders. I'm backing Bernie Sanders. It's the better play for the party. And if the party's serious about beating Trump, then Bernie Sanders is your bet. But he didn't do that. He didn't want to actually come out on one side. He wanted to say he was staying even. He was undecided. And that is the kind of chicken shit that like quality of political discourse that allowed Trump to win. Had Van Jones said, no, Bernie Sanders is the superior candidate. It's better for the party. If Trump is so dangerous that we need to take him out, then let's take him out now and make Hillary Clinton sit down and nominate Bernie Sanders. But Van Jones didn't have that kind of spine because he was working on CNN and he likes his checks. And because I really do think because Van Jones didn't have that kind of spine, it allowed black people to go to Hillary Clinton because he didn't actually come out and make a positive stand. He didn't make a positive stand, not like a mealy mouth, like, oh, he's very, very popular, but a positive stand. Van Jones' spinelessness is what gave us the Clinton in a powerful way because he had such a big microphone. And then for him then to spend all of the time after the nomination saying how bad Trump is, and how like our first priority is to get rid of Trump and elect Hillary Clinton just to get rid of Trump. No, it's too late, Van. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of it worked. You had a chance to get behind Bernie, to get rid of Hillary Clinton, and then beat Trump. If you were serious about beating Trump, like all of you crying, because Van got very emotional last night. It was
Did he?
Yeah. He got all up in his feelings, and he was feeling some kind of way about it. But if he was serious about that, this means he would have been serious about it last year when he couldn't make up his mind about who to vote or who to support. So like Van Jones' model of political cowardice in 2015 is what allowed black people, is one of the many variables that allowed black people to nominate disproportionately Hillary Clinton a losing candidate, and an obviously losing candidate, and which puts us in our situation today.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I don't think Van Jones even understands. I don't think Van Jones understands the power that he had right in his hands when Obama basically ejected him from the White House for no reason other than to appease Glenn Beck. I don't think he understood the power that he had. Everyone around him, from black people to the liberals who had supported Obama, a lot of these young people understood that he had been given the shaft. They understood that he had been treated wrongly, and they were looking to him for leadership.
He could have gone to war with Obama, and it would have been great for the black people.
He could have been that guy.
Because Obama was the president of all people. Van Jones could have said, like, look, I'm the guy for black green energy people.
He could have been that guy. He could have been the guy. That was his moment to be a leader. Like, if he had taken that moment, things might have changed for the White House. Things certainly would have changed for Van Jones. Van Jones would have been remembered for being a trailblazer. But instead, I remember Van Jones went to Netroots after he got kicked out and given the boot at the White House, and people were clamoring to support Van Jones and talking about how awful it was, what had happened to him. And Van Jones said, no, the president, he had to do what he had to do, and he just gave the president cover. And now you have a president who, he's popular in terms of he's a nice guy. He didn't really mess up in the White House in terms of infidelity, or he didn't embarrass people. But he doesn't really have any pull. So now, Van Jones, you're just kind of stuck at CNN. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you could have made a place in the world for yourself without having to depend on Obama. And now Obama doesn't have any coattails. He certainly doesn't have any coattails that he's planning on sharing with black people, including you, Van Jones. So you just screwed the pooch by your decision to be cowardice and not stand up for what I know you believed in. I know you know it was wrong for him to fire you like that. I know you know that. And you should have stood up for yourself. Not just standing up for black people. You should have stood up for yourself.
That would have been a role model political leadership, and he would have won. He could have gone to war with the sitting president and won a battle for the sake of black people, and like have black people talking about the environment and green jobs at the same time.
Someone just sent me a clip of, Van Jones. Van Jones teared up, didn't he? Oh my word! You know who else looked a mess this morning?
All those white women, I got them. Yeah.
Oh, let's show. That was last night. Let's show the tears from last night. There were a lot of tears going around. A lot of sadness last night for Miss Hillary. A lot of sadness. A lot of sadness last night. A lot of sadness this morning. I guess maybe they've taken all of those stickers off of Susan B. Anthony's grave. I don't know how they managed that cleanup. They had this poised to be a historic moment for Miss Hillary, and it blew up thanks to the Donalds. So you had all of these white women crying. They were breaking down because they saw Hillary as them. They were about to live vicariously through Hillary. They were losing their minds.
They too were going to marry the president.
Oh my God. Yes, they think that Hillary's them. Hillary married the president. She's not. And I hope we leave this space open. Now, eventually, hopefully, we can have a woman president at some point who maybe came up through the ranks herself and wasn't riding on her husband's, coattails. But you know who looked awful this morning? I tell you who looked bad this morning. You all know who I'm going to say if you've been on my Facebook page. Roland Martin. This morning, Roland Martin, he had his tie. His tie was all out. He like he can go to sleep. He was just, I don't think he could sleep. It was just on him. He had it on him. The spirit of Trump was on him. And he couldn't let it go. And you could see that, and it wasn't just about an election. That's what I want to get people to understand. These people were going to try to eat off this. Roland Martin was looking for, that's why he was sending messages to Donna Brazile. He was going to try to eat off this. He was going to he had an Obama book. He probably wanted to get a Hillary book. Wanted to get in there, and have access. You don't understand that these people's lives were hanging in the balance in terms of Hillary becoming the next president. There were a lot of biscuits that's not gonna get buttered. They're not going to be a lot of biscuits. Forget the butter. There's no, these people were depending on it. This was their time. And Donald Trump interrupted that. Roland Martin had an end with Hillary Clinton. He had an end. That was his end. Donna Brazile was his access, and that's over with now. He don't have no access to Donald Trump. You don't have no way to talk to Donald Trump.
I got a tweet from Charles Blow.
What do you got to say?
What's Charles Blow got to say? Let's see. What does Charles Blow have to say? Also, can you read it?
I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Also.
Oh, I see it now.
Okay.
Oh, yes, Mr. Charles Blow had something to say about us. Tell us what Mr. Charles Blow had to say.
Okay. Also, my black intellectuals with your inviolable, principled positions that help suppress the woke black vote. I have a bone to pick with you. So Charles Blow has a problem with us.
He has a problem with everybody who decided that we didn't want to support Hillary's policies.
Yeah.
It's not. Listen,
it was our job to get black people who were marching against police violence to vote for Hillary Clinton. So we didn't do our job as black intellectuals.
I think Charles Blow has our job confused with his job. It's your job, Charles Blow, to convince people of black people, to manipulate black people and get them to vote against their own interests. That's not our job. That's not what we're called on to do. So I think you have your job at the New York Times confused with what we do. We don't do that. And it's not about, he said, what is this little fancy word he used? Inviolable, principled. It's not inviolable, the fact that she has awful politics. That's not she has awful politics all the way around. How is that us being just so principled we couldn't make a practical decision? No, she was awful. She was awful and she is awful. And I don't know what you're talking about. He's been tweeting like crazy. Stop. Just all this emotional tweeting. No. It's not nothing to do with that. It's got to do with who she is. So again, the call-in number is 970-296-8222.
You want to take a call?
Yeah, let's take a call. Ooh, Charles Blow.
Hello?
I'm here.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, Yvette, how you doing? What's
Good.
up, you Ronnie?
Hey.
Listen, Van Jones is full of shit. Always has been. This guy came out and as a communist in the Bay Area, a folk communist, and then there was some work that they were doing on, I guess, environmental racism or something out there, and it was a big spread in one of the Bay Area newspapers about him being a rising political star, because he was an attorney, so forth and so on. And as that continued, he ended up, turning on the folks that he was working with, but for crumbs for the Democratic Party, and he continued on up until the point where he is. This is the same guy who said that black people and the police have so much in common. Explain to me how we have so much in common with people who are killing us sight unseen.
Oh.
This is no different than Condoleezza Rice, who said that black people are fighting an old war against racism. I mean, come on. And so when this guy, the tears that he was crying to me, I don't believe that they were genuine at all, and could care less. Charles Blow, you mentioned him. Here's another guy who said that Michael Brown was a thug and deserved to be shot. Ooh. And yet at the same time, when Blow was in jail, Charles Blow's son was stopped by the Yale police on campus, allegedly over.
You're breaking up a little bit.
You're breaking up a little
bit.
bit.
As an ID or something along that line. The bottom line was Charles Blow fixed his column to defend his son and made a very classist argument about why his son should not and also should be treated fairly, but Michael Brown and people and even those and other poor working class black men and women should just be shot.
Right.
And another one of his colleagues, black colleagues, said that, has even made more vile comments. So these people, again,
Yeah.
are class enemies, and I have
Thank
to say,
you.
I
Yeah,
fight
class
this back.
enemies.
Class
Hillary
enemies.
Clinton is gone. I'm
Thank you. You're breaking up a little bit, but thank you for the call, caller. But I think that's right to say what they are. These are class enemies. I think we have to stop saying that these, where they're black just like us. No, these people aren't trying to do what's in our best interest. They're trying to do what's best to maintain their jobs. They're trying to stay at. Charles Blow wants to stay at the New York Times. Okay, these
Yeah, they're not wealthy. They're not Anderson Cooper.
Yes, because
no, they're not
but
wealthy.
this goes back to our whole conversation about black people not having any money. Part of the reason Van Jones is talking about how we have, if what the caller said is true, that we have so much in common with the police is because he's trying to ingratiate himself to the white power structure. Okay, and so if he said that, that's why he said it. So I think it's good to understand how these people are invested and where they're who they're looking to in terms of money and capital and everything else. And it was you, Irene, who said that Michelle Obama's our class enemy.
She's our class enemy. She doesn't want Malia and Sasha going to school with you. No, Pookie's fine as an abstract, but she wants Malia and Sasha going to school with Tiffany, Kimberly, and Taylor.
Oh.
No, she doesn't want. No, Michelle Obama doesn't want her children going to school with you Negroes. She doesn't have time for that. No, not at all. I mean, I'm from Hyde Park, and I actually lived for a few years right next to, probably a block and a half away from where the Obama's house was. And I'll tell you, when Barack Obama became president, Chicago went through a round of school closures. And you know what school closed? The public school that Sasha and Malia would have gone to if they would have gone to public school. Like, that's how much she doesn't care about non-selective enrollment public schools. No, she likes the Negroes that are handpicked, just like everyone else likes the Negroes that are handpicked. She doesn't want to go to school with just like, she's not about like growing the black community. She wants to handpick the good ones and send the rest of them away, just like all the other people in America want to handpick the good ones and send the rest of them away. That's our policy around like descendants of slaves. So she's not about community uplift. She's about like particular Negro uplift. And that's not about us. That's a class. I mean, she is our class enemy. Anytime you're trying to like get rid of poor black people for being poor black people, you are a class enemy. And anytime you're trying to like cherry pick and sort black people into the good ones and the bad ones, and the good ones get to go to school with my child, but the bad ones can like whatever, drink leaded water. You're not an ally. You're a class enemy.
Do we have somebody else?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get you a call.
You are a class enemy. Y'all heard Irene. You are a class enemy. Don't come around looking for friends and favors. You are a class enemy.
Uh-oh.
And I think it's about time we start having this class discussion and we start rooting out the enemies in our community. So,
You're on the air.
Hello, this is Scotty from Columbus, Ohio.
hey, Scotty.
Yeah, nothing much. I just wanted to say from last night's results, I think I was talking about Wisconsin last night. Wisconsin is an indicator that the Democrats had no business losing this election to Donald Trump. First of all, you lost in the birthplace of the labor movement. You lost in the place where the unions were fighting off Scott Walker. And it was, oddly enough, it happened a little bit before the Occupy movement that same year. And then, so they decide not to campaign there for 5 months? And then all of a sudden, it's funny because Donald Trump actually lost Wisconsin to the Ted Cruz in the primary.
Yeah, look.
Not beaten by him badly.
Yeah, Wisconsin has a huge labor history. Fighting Bob La Follette was like spent the whole early 20th century fighting for working people. So like the party of working people should have cleaned up there.
Yeah, I mean, and then, states like my home state of Ohio, Michigan, the Rust Belt. And this is where right off the white working class, the working class in general, bites you in the ass. And this is where not going to your base and what they did with the Bernie Sanders supporters was so disrespectful. It was so wrong what they did at that convention. Like, what I saw there, it was just like beyond the pale that they disrespected people so much that people were not excited to vote for her. They weren't excited to vote for her anyway. Another thing, Hillary Clinton should stop fucking running for office. If you can't beat a black man by the name of Barack Hussein Obama in a post 9/11 era and a reality show TV star, you should fucking get out of politics.
I agree.
I mean, seriously.
No,
She's a fucking failure. She's been a failure. And she's been a failure for years. She's coasted off the fact that she was the first lady. And she's had no accomplishments as a senator, as a secretary of state. She was a fucking disaster. The worst mistake Barack Obama said he made, she actually pushed him into it, even though he was already drone bombing countries anyway. And it's just like the left is going to have to, the left and neoliberals are going to have to take this one on the chin and, think about the role that they played. Think about the role how they played in, using identity politics that actually alienated people, or using for, like I said last night, how the radical left used to basically not see the right on the wall of what the Bernie Sanders campaign, the opportunity it actually made, which they even though they didn't have to vote for him, they could have at least seen this is an opportunity that we can actually talk about left-leaning politics.
No,
it doesn't have to be as left here.
I agree. I agree with. I definitely agree with you, Carl. And I think you made your point. I mean, you after 9/11, you couldn't beat Barack Hussein Obama. You couldn't beat Donald Trump. You couldn't fight your way out of a paper bag, obviously, Hillary. So why don't you just let it go? You got too much baggage. You've taken too many checks, and just live and enjoy your money and let that be that. Thank you, Carla. I agree wholeheartedly. Let it go, Hillary. It's over. Your political career is done.
We need to do a quick commercial for who we are. Tell the people who we are.
We are Breaking Brown, family. Breaking Brown, and we're trying to take this platform so we can have alternative media. One of the things that we saw in this election is that you and even the conservatives, nobody trusts the mainstream media. So what we're trying to do here at Breaking Brown is raise money for our own effort to bring an alternative voice to media that actually represents working class people. So you can go to breakingbrown.com and give us a donation. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Facebook channel. You can share this video and share other videos just to help us get the word out. So that's who we are. That's what we're doing. Just wanted to take a moment and just throw that out there, Edge. We got another caller?
Yeah, let's do it. Another caller.
Hey, caller.
Hello, my Breaking Brown people. Hello.
How you doing?
Yvette, this is Pascal.
Hey, Pascal, what's up?
What's going on, Rami? How you guys doing?
I'm
Pretty
all right,
good.
Pascal. Can you do me a favor and turn off your...
Turn off your laptop or whatever you were listening to us on.
Yeah, I was on my cell phone. I just turned it off.
All right, let's do this. What's going on, man?
You got me?
Yeah, what's going on?
We got you.
First of all, I want to congratulate you guys for this great endeavor you started in creating an alternative voice for the sane-sounding black folk who are trying to analyze politics for the community out here, because there's a lot of noise and claptrap that we have to decipher. And, I've been working with Yvette for quite a few years now, and I appreciate Rami coming on to really try to help us expand our media platform. Mm-hmm. I think it's important, so I really want to give you guys kudos for creating this opportunity for us to give an alternative to the noise that the compradors, that's the term I use. It's an old term, but I want to talk about several things. And you guys have been talking about this election. You guys have been talking about Obama, and I want to talk about something optimistic. I think that this election of Donald Trump presents the best opportunity in the last 45 years to perhaps transform black politics from the grassroots up into something transformative that could be effective for the black community. And I will tell you why in several ways.
Tell me.
Number one, the first thing that we have to understand is that this is the first time comprehensively since the end of the civil rights movement, since the death of Dr. King, that we have a collective ability to purge the black misleadership class, the media acolytes, the academic acolytes, the black church functionaries, and anyone who wanted to be a water carrier for the Democratic Party in the consciousness of the black community.
Yeah, and all we have to do is send our policy down.
Anyone right now.
Yeah.
They have no value to Democrats because Democrats are not in power. They have no value to black people because they did not carry any winning candidate to power, and they have no value to themselves because there's no one who's going to be able to subsidize the chicanery and betraying the interests of black people and allowing black people to be brought into the duopoly of the right-left paradigm of the Republicans and Democrats and fall for the nonsense that the Democrats have been shelling out going back maybe even to the Carter administration. So I think the fact that, and this is not to herald Donald Trump as some kind of hero or savior or white shining knight. This is because what Donald Trump's presidency or victory allows us to do is clean house. To call out the treasonous actors, to call out the comprador class. What is the comprador class? What do we say when we say the comprador class? The comprador class are black people whose function is to perpetuate the utility of black subjugation to the power structure. That's your Van Jones, your Joy Reid, that's your all the black media, that's your black misleadership class. A comprador is simply a black person, a brown person, or a Latino person whose function is to make sure the establishment mechanisms that allow black people to be subjugated politically, economically, and socially maintain their functionality in order for them to maintain their economic viability. So the comprador doesn't have to be an evil person. The comprador is not the devil. The comprador doesn't even have to be a sellout. He can be authentically back. But the comprador wants to get what Yvette calls his butter biscuits. The comprador likes his nice six-figure or $7 million condo, his seven-figure condo. The comprador likes a nice private school he sent his kid to. The comprador likes his nice foreign car, even though he may have, $700,000 in debt. But the comprador is living better than Pookie, Jamal, and Jaquan.
Yeah. So what you're basically saying is the comprador is the sellout, and that's just what it is. And I think you're right, Pascal. I mean, I appreciate you calling. I appreciate the comment, and I think you're exactly right. And I think this is where we go from here. I think Pascal has answered that question. This is where we go from here. This is our opportunity to purge, to cleanse it. I think Pascal hit it on the nail. This is our opportunity to get rid of these people. These people failed. Do you understand what a failure it was? What a failure it was for the black misleadership class to do what they did to Bernie and to basically red bait Bernie. That's what they did. They told black people this socialism is scary. It's not for you. Don't listen to this. You remember John Lewis came out and said, I never saw Bernie Sanders. He wasn't with me. Actually, he was. But you had him. All these people came out and they failed. Like I don't even know how much standing the black misleadership class has now with Democrats after going so far for Hillary Clinton and failing. So I can't even say that they have what they used to have in terms of clout. They're at their weakest. And I think when a community or a group of people are at their weakest, I think that's when you strike. If you're going to purge them, now's the time to purge them.
Right,
if you're going to purge them, that's the time to do it. So let's take another call.
Caller, you're on.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Yeah, hi, good afternoon, or good night. I have three quick points. Number one, I think that the black community deserves Trump because we stopped Bernie Sanders in the primaries in the southern states, and we went to the polls for Hillary Clinton in such great numbers that we asked for Hillary Clinton to be elevated in the general election. And then during the general, Trump, he tried to reach out to black people, and we totally ignored him, saying that we were rich and we weren't in poverty. And so now here we have Trump, and now he has absolutely no reason to actually reach out to the black community because we told him we didn't need him.
All right,
And then also
he's right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, this sounds great. I think you're actually right. We have to take some sort of responsibility because we were her firewall. People said that we might be Hillary Clinton's firewall, and you know what we did? We firewalled it up. We stopped Bernie Sanders.
We sure did.
Yeah. So like you're right. We do have to take some sort of responsibility for that.
Yeah, we stopped him, and not only did Barack Obama screw over black people, but he also screwed over poor white America by running around the country telling everybody to go in the STEM program. Those people don't have jobs. You can't tell them to go to college for another 5 to 7 years to go into an industry that's difficult to get in the first place. And you know, Barack Obama did nothing for the black community, and he did nothing for poor whites. He screwed them over, and they all broke towards Trump. And so it's a shame that the Republicans, I guess, in a way, they're kind of the party of the working white middle class, which is rare because normally it used to have been the Democrats, correct? Mm-hmm. So in this election, it's sort of flipped.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think this is a day of kind of reckoning for black people. Thank you, caller, for the call. But I think this is a day of reckoning. We have to look at what we've done. We have to look at what we've done, and I think this is an opportunity. I'm not going to say it's just a reckoning. It's a day of opportunity as well, because we can look at this and say, how can we grow from this? Because people think slavery is so long ago. I put up an article the other day, a woman who came from slaves, her parents or whatever. We're not that far away from it, so we're still moving. Okay, we're not that far away from slavery, so there's some stuff we got to get right. And our politics is one thing we got to get right. We got another call, Art?
Yeah, we do. You're on.
Hey, Yvette. Hey, Army.
Hey.
Hi.
What's happening? This is Frank. I'm in New York City. I just wanted to let you know, too, right now, while this show is going on, there's a protest in New York, in Chicago, and I think there was California or something, which, goes to my larger point, which is we've been marching for 150 years. What do we got? Want more marching about Donald Trump now, and it seems like we have a habit for abuse. We want to go into these things and not be clear about what we want as a community because we can't get on the same page, obviously. But today has been very interesting because I just really hate the fact that this isn't looked at as, we're not looking at this optimistically. Like Donald Trump actually he did the one thing I wanted a candidate to do, which was speak to the black community and actually offer something. He has a black agenda, and I mean, he was surrounded around more black people than the supposed Democratic nominee. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
So I'll give him credit for that.
No,
that black agenda actually had some good points.
No, thank you, caller. I agree with you, and I think there are a couple of good points that you just made in terms of whether or not you believe or agree with Trump. Trump said, "I think it's time for a New Deal 2.0 for black people," and I was wondering whether or not Trump had been watching me or Pascal or somebody, because only black people on the left had used that term in terms of a New Deal 2.0 for black people. And whether you agree or believe in him, he did offer something. Offering a New Deal is offering black people something. It is saying, I have some type of agenda for you. Whereas the only thing Barack Obama offered was being in the White House, and having, and I'm going to be a role model for little black children. So I definitely agree with you on that point. I would also say that Trump proved last night that people can beat money. All the money, all the Wall Street money, all the so-called smart money, billions of dollars were on Hillary Clinton, and people beat it. So I think there's a glimmer of hope there as well. So I appreciate your call, and I think you're exactly right.
The failure of Barack Obama's administration is that he might not be descended from slaves, but he looks every night in the eyes of his wife, who is descended from slaves.
Yes.
And he hasn't as much lifted a finger to make an apology for slavery. I'm not even talking about reparations at this point. I'm talking about he hasn't gotten to the point of even mentioning the fact that there was an ill done that wrongfully enriched this country at our expense.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
So
He doesn't look at this
a
country.
slap in the face.
But he doesn't.
Entirely.
Yeah, but he doesn't look at this country through the eyes of Michelle. He looks at this country through the eyes of himself, and he views black people as people who kind of need to get their stuff together. Like I said last night, he went to Morehouse and told those Morehouse men nobody's going to care if you've been discriminated against. That's how he feels, and that's how he became the president of everyone except black people. So. Okay, if you're watching now, everybody, take a moment and subscribe to my Facebook page, Yvette Carnell. If you're watching there, just subscribe. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this on YouTube, just take a moment and subscribe. The little red button. Just take a moment and subscribe to the channel. And share it with your friends. Share it on your page. Share it everywhere. So, I mean, I think we, whether or not, we've had a lot of Republican presidents who had a black agenda and didn't do anything with it, but we just had a black president who didn't have a black agenda. At least Obama has a black agenda. I mean, at least Trump has a black agenda. Obama didn't have one, and he was a black president. So, I mean, that's a start. I don't know whether it's going to mean anything, because I see Trump. Somebody posted earlier today that Trump was thinking of putting a climate change denier in charge of his transition. So I don't know where any of that's going to go. I'm just telling you right now, I see some reason, maybe not a whole lot, but there's still some reason to be hopeful in terms of what's possible in terms of politics. We could have done that tonight. This last night could have been our night as leftists. Could have been our night in terms of liberals if we had gotten Bernie. We just didn't do it. Do we have anybody else?
Yeah, do it.
Let's go.
Hi, Yvette.
How you doing?
I got disconnected earlier, so I had to call back because there's a couple things that I didn't get a chance to say. First of all, in regard to Van Jones, remember this here. He disavowed his support for Mumia Abu-Jamal to save his green jobs, Czar job, and still got fired. Okay. When we talk about class enemies, we got to hammer that home very hard, because there are too many black folks who are just so enamored with black faces in high places, and public policy is written and it's accessible, and we see it's right in your face. Y'all talked about Negro whisperers and the black, there are people who I was listening to people saying that, the black leadership class. I always say the black political class, because when you say blackness leadership, that just means that they ain't doing right. The black political class defines these people because they act as a class, as a comprador class, as what Pascal was saying, and comprador classes are very clear about their politics, and when it comes to the poor and working class of said groups, they are clear about the fact that they disdain those folks, and they're going to act in their class interest only. That said, to hammer this home, because there are so many folks who refuse to get the fact that Barack Obama, Van Jones, the Congressional Black Caucus, when we talk about the remainder, the Negro whisperers out here, the Congressional Black Caucus is still in office, and these people have been there. They've made some money over the last 25, 30 years being in office. Think about this. Eleanor Holmes Norton has gotten paid being the D.C. delegate, and when you look at D.C. for Ward 8, just for one example, it's terrible. You look at John Lewis's district, the 5th in Atlanta. Yvette, you live in Atlanta. Trust me, you drive around that district, those places are still terrible, and John Lewis ain't done nothing for them.
Yeah, that's pretty
thank
wild,
you,
right?
caller. Thank you, caller. I appreciate that.
What's going on? Did the CBC take a holiday?
The CBC has all been about protecting one man. This is why the CBC single-handedly destroyed black politics. The CBC destroyed black politics because they made black politics not about the black community. They made black politics about one man in the White House. They spent the past entire 8 years advocating in favor of one man. Every time somebody called Obama a tar baby or said something about Obama that they found offensive, even if it was offensive, they used their positions to go on the news and talk about how Barack Obama was being disrespected. They didn't go on the news and talk about the black community and what Barack Obama as president should be advocating for the black community. They went on the news to talk about and defend Barack Obama. So they failed these last 8 years because they didn't advocate for their constituents. They only advocated for the black man in the White House. And so that's why the communities, if you talk about John Lewis community and all these districts, that's why because they're not advocating for their own districts. They're not advocating to get money to their communities. They're advocating for you to treat the first black president with respect. That's what they want. And that's why they should be considered clowns right now.
All right, take a call.
Sure.
Hey, how you doing? You on the air?
Caller.
Well, we're going to take another one. Hey.
Hello?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, this is Elizabeth.
Hey, Elizabeth.
So, you know what I have noticed, I'm doing a paper right now to focus on how to move us forward. And looking at the report and the data, it for the highest population of people who actually defend and support and believe in their government is the African American population. And it lacks any accountability. So they will defend even what they know is wrong just because it's a Democrat. Or it is, that's what we were taught to. So there's no accountability within our communities to get anything done. That's why we can see places like Detroit or Flint or, in different districts where we have a higher population and more Democrats are running those areas. There's no accountability for that. And then we complain about it once we elect the new president. And I think, we kind of have an opportunity here to take Trump at what he said, challenge him, and what do you have to lose? Bring it to the table. Let's talk about it. I think going to him with a platform and saying, okay, this is what we desire as a community, not just the big talking heads that are leaders that don't do anything. Right. I'm talking about like grassroots people going to him and speaking to him directly on these are the issues that are important to us, because I think some of the people he have that are black right now who are trying to represent the black community may have not been in the black community for a while.
Right.
They can.
All right. So the caller actually brings up a great point. Why are black people so bad at politics?
Well, I think she's right. I think Elizabeth is right. Like, we do voting for Democrats really good, but we don't do accountability good at all. Like, we just, for us, politics seems to end at, I voted for you. There is no follow-up, and we don't have the mechanism within our community to follow up. We don't have politicians who are about following up. We don't have a sort of movement politics, which is about, following up. So what we do is go out and vote. And I would agree with her, too. I think, listen, the only thing we can do right now is take Trump at his word. I'm not going to get in the street and start protesting Trump. He hasn't even gotten started. So why would I be in the street as a black person protesting a president who got elected by the citizens of this country? Fair is fair. Fair is fair. We were all very upset when the Tea Party marched on Washington because Obama had been elected. And what we said is this man was fairly elected. Leave him alone. Well, Donald Trump was fairly elected. Unless you know something I know, he turned it around and he was fairly elected. So what I'm going to say, if Donald Trump said, I want to bring a New Deal 2.0 to the black community. I'm saying we need to have a conversation about that. And we need to have a conversation and say, basically, listen, you promised a New Deal 2.0. Maybe if you deliver on that New Deal 2.0, you might get reelected.
Yeah.
Let's see what you can do. I think that's the conversation.
All right, so there are a few things going on. Like, the fundamental question is, why are black people so bad at politics? Why are we so bad at politics? And I think it's a result of a few decades of training. We were good at politics for a little bit too long in the 60s and a little bit of the 70s. So I think there've been like complicated institutions to teach black people, especially baby boomers, but to teach black people and Gen Xers that your job is not to make a claim on government. Be black, work hard, study hard, but do not make a claim on government for things like water. Do not make a claim on government for things like fully funded schools with unionized teachers. Your job is to do a fundraiser and work hard and be poor, but do not make your claims on government. Black people, do not make your problems government problems. That was the line we were sold. That was the line we were sold by Oprah. Do not make a claim on government. Just put like a piece of stick paper.
You didn't go in on Oprah, did you?
Yeah, I saw. Well, no, I think she's part of the whole apparatus that said,
Ooh.
black people, do not make a claim on government for the goods you're owed. Instead, like, put a sticky on a cork board and think about it real hard, and maybe you could will it into being. But do not make a claim on government. And that is the way we've been programmed. And you know what farmers do when they need money? They make claims on government for farming subsidies. You know what bankers do when they need money? They make claim on government for banking subsidies. When the auto industry was in trouble, you know what they did? They made a claim on government for banking money. None of those people were told to hold a fundraiser. You know what the city of Flint did when they needed help from government? They were told to hold a fundraiser. That's not politics. Politics is like emergency legislation with a budgetary power that's allocated in like the order of billions of dollars to your needs. But we are taught and we are programmed, and the reason our politics is so bad is that we are shy to make claims on government. And this last 8 years has been an especially good example of that, because instead of making claims on government, like I said, if you're Jewish, what you did was you said, look, I'm not doing anything for you until you back Israel. If you're Latino, you said, I'm not doing anything for you until you do something for immigration. If you were the LGBT community, said, we're not doing jack for you until you get right on gay marriage. And black people were so like distorted in our politics, we said, well, we're just happy you're there. Can we get a picture of you and Michelle and the kids? In essence. Thank you. Yeah, so like we have a fundamental, and this is one thing I want to do with this program, Yvette and I, we want to get black people doing politics, demanding legislation, demanding what we're owed in the right way, demanding, for example, business contracts from your municipality. Like if your municipality is not doing business with black-owned businesses, that means like your municipality is just participating in a form of Jim Crow right now. So we need to demand things of our government, and we need to demand contracts for black-owned businesses. We need to demand goods like schools at the state level funding. No more fundraisers. We need state budgetary funding for our schools, and we need to demand clean water and just expect it. Just expect it. And if you don't give us these things, we're going to get you out. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if your name is Barack Obama. Like, you're gone if you're not getting us what we owe. John Lewis, bounce if you can't clean up our water. That's why I think the black politics laughs. Like our respectability politics not only like is about us being respectable, it's about us overly respecting people of power that we just shouldn't respect. Like we should have made Miss Hillary come down on a jobs bill, not talk about hot sauce in her purse.
She got hot sauce in her bag, swag.
Yeah, I don't care.
Ivory, you don't care what's in her bag.
I don't care. I want a jobs bill, I want clean water, and I want state-funded schools all the way.
Well, I guess that says that. Ivory said he don't care what's in her bag. He don't care. Ivory doesn't care what's in Miss Hillary's bag. He don't care if she got hot sauce, red peppers, pepper flakes, oregano. He don't care. But, I mean, in all seriousness, I do think, you know, and I've expressed this on my page in a number of ways, is that we got to get away from this idea of this person is more like me because they do things that are culturally in common with me. So they like hot sauce, I like hot sauce. They like cornbread, I like cornbread. Like no, like I mean somebody can like all of those things and not be and not have anything and not want to further our interests. So what has to happen is the black people have to get serious about politics. We used to be serious about politics. And I think that's because our situation was serious. Like you didn't have to tell, I don't think you would have to tell somebody who was living in 1935 that these people who are in politics don't have your best interests at heart. You wouldn't have to tell a politician, even if a woman had been allowed to run, after suffrage, when a woman was running for that she, even though she was a woman, that she might not necessarily have your interests at heart. You wouldn't be like, I'm just like Hillary Clinton. They would be like, no, you're not. You Shaniqua. You married from around the corner. You're not Hillary Clinton. You're not her. So I think the only way I can say it is that we understood blackness better than we understand it right now. Like we don't understand blackness and how to organize around blackness and black interests and the consequence of having come from a slave. We seem to have lost that somewhere, and we need to find it.
Hi, another call?
Sure.
Hello?
Hey, caller.
Hello? Hey, how you doing, Yvette?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm all right. But you want to know something that I feel that's one of our number one problems is black people. I feel that we need to become a little bit more politically competent. Because something I've noticed is that a lot of black people will go out here and they will vote for a president, but they will not go out here and vote for the Congress. They won't go out here and vote for the Senate. And those two chambers are really, really important. Like I hear a lot of black people talking about, reparations and all this other type of stuff, but I feel that we don't let our voice be heard like the Hispanics do and like the gays do. Like the gays, they'll march to Washington and they'll sit there protest and really make their voice be heard. Black people.
But haven't we been protesting? I didn't mean to interrupt you. What's your name, caller? What's your name?
Sheldon now.
Sheldon, I don't mean to interrupt you, Sheldon, but we've been marching for a long time. Like we were marching in the '60s, and I think, listen, I had a friend say something on Facebook, and I think it's true. Like black people have been voting enough for all these problems to be fixed. It's not just about voting. I think we've been doing that.
Right.
I think it's about organizing. What you guys say, Aaron?
All right, so it's complicated. The black politics done well is not just about voting. Voting's important, but it's actually like the last stage of a 15-stage process. Like what's more important is actually recruiting the right candidates, getting knowledge of expertise in government. Like, so just going to meetings and like learning where the power lies and how government works and how contracts are awarded in your municipality. So getting that expertise, recruiting the right candidates, signature gathering for those candidates, because the way you get on the ballot is through signatures. And like, honestly, white politicians and connected money politicians pay other people to get signatures for them. So if you're a black politician, especially if you're one who's not necessarily connected to money, like you need people helping you to get signatures. So like these kinds of politics is actually like almost as important as, actually it's more important than voting. Voting is something you do as a cherry on the top, but if you're recruiting candidates, if you're like finding out the levers of power to get the expertise to become a candidate yourself, or your signature gathering for candidates, that's a much more powerful expression of your citizenship. Or organizing around a specific campaign and then going and hammering a legislator just to get used to hammering people in power. Because that's a skill. People don't understand, like, speaking truth to power and actually governing is a skill. So, like, the more practice you can getting in someone's face who's in power and, like, telling them what you need for your community, and doing the research and getting the numbers and getting a campaign together to move a congressman or two, that's expertise in governing. And that kind of expertise is what will move the black community and create a black politics. So getting out the vote's important, but like black politics includes includes finding candidates and gathering signatures. It's not as glamorous. You don't get a sticker for doing that work, but it's actually a more powerful black politics because that means you get the people you know in office rather than push someone like Miss Hillary or like Kassam Reed or something like that, someone who just doesn't care about poor Negroes. So I think the way we think about black politics, I'd like it to expand and get richer than just merely voting. Yvette?
Thank you for the call, Sheldon. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's what I think. I think we do. I think part of the problem is that we're just kind of a one-trick pony. Is that every time something happens, we get in the street and march, and like, no, it's tougher than that. Like, marching is one thing, people get in the street with signs, but I've watched organizers close up, and I've seen them, and that stuff is hard.
Yes.
That stuff is hard. And I think going forward, that's what's going to have to happen. And I think that's one thing that's important right now about black media is because we have to be able, like Irony and I have to be able, if an organizer is doing something, I want to be able to get the word out.
Word.
I want to be able to bring that person to you and says, hey, this is what's going on. These people need money, or these people need feet on the ground, or can we get some cheap prints? Who knows? Somebody who knows. Like, that's what black media is supposed to do. If you look at black media back in the day, that's what they did. That's what they publicized. They were a part of the institution of the black community. And so I think that's why I think it's so important, like in this era of neoliberalism and conservatism, to rebuild black media. But that's another story. Let's see if we got another caller.
You on the air? Hello?
Hello, what's going on?
How you doing?
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah. I'm doing good. This is Phil from Japan.
Hey.
Ooh, he's from Japan, international. A brother with a passport.
Yeah.
He's a Negro with a passport.
We just playing. Go ahead.
So, I'm from New York. I voted in this election for Jill Stein, actually. I was actually just the two things. I was really surprised how I guess abysmal the Green Party did nationally. It was like 1%, which was kind of a letdown.
Well, they have their own issues.
And also, I was also really surprised that the Senate and the House also went conservative as well. And I'm just watching on Facebook people just going nuts, man. So I just wanted to ask, what do you guys think is like going to happen realistically in like the midterms, and just with like the social aspect of what's going to happen? Because people like protesting now is doing this thing, but it's like what's done is done.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say. But yeah, really appreciate your guys' show. I actually subscribe to Breakfast Brown.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Thank you. I appreciate you called it all the way in from Japan. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to talk a little bit about, it wasn't just Hillary that lost. Like, nominating Hillary was a drag on, like, the entire Democratic Party. That's incredible. Nominating Hillary was a drag on, Russ Feingold in Wisconsin is an incredible senator who actually cares about campaign finance reform. Like, nominating Hillary killed Russ Feingold. Like, that's what happened. She was so bad, and Obama is so bad at doing politics that's not involved with electing himself, that, like, Russ Feingold was killed because people were so depressed about, like, going to vote for someone like Hillary Clinton. Like, Zephyr Teachout is incredible. Zephyr Teachout is great on public education. She's great on rural broadband. She's, all right, so in trade, she's a little bit dicey because she's a nationalist like Trump, and I think you need transnational labor agreements for any of this to work. But like, she's great on banks, and she's great on campaign finance reform. She could have won her race if Democrats were excited about getting out. So like, Hillary Clinton being a profoundly bad candidate, and the entire DNC shoving Hillary Clinton down our throats, contorting the entire like party process to get Hillary Clinton on the top of the ticket, destroyed Democratic politics nationwide. And like there are stakes being bad at your job. Like everyone at the DNC should just be fired and probably sued for like dereliction of duty. I like there was the fallout of them just being bad at their job, and like all of the super delegates who had one job. You had one job, super delegate. Pick the candidate who could back Trump. And they just didn't do their job. You had one
Beat Trump,
job. You were supposed to pick the candidate who could beat Trump. And they didn't do it because instead they picked the Clintons, because instead of picking the candidate that could beat Trump, they picked the candidate who had the donor's telephone number. And that's where like black democratic politics, I mean, that's where the DNC politics failed. They cared more about getting money for themselves or for their campaign than they did about actually winning elections. So superdelegates, instead of doing their one job, which was to pick a candidate who could beat Donald Trump and beat the Republican nominee, they picked the candidate who like was connected to Clinton cash. And I had a friend who worked on Obama's 2008-2012 campaign, and she was astonished about how many low-level superdelegates and would-be players in the party just owed Hillary Clinton favors, so they weren't free to move autonomously. So that's one good thing about getting rid of the Clintons. Like you free up all of this network of favors that runs through Hillary and Bill Clinton. So that's a big deal, that having such a sink at the top of the party had such a huge effect on everyone else. Good people, even good Democrats, and there are few, like Zephyr Teachout and Russ Feingold.
I hadn't even looked at I know what the outcome was in terms of Congress, but I hadn't even looked to see who all lost. I was so fixated on this presidential race. Oh my goodness.
No, she was a drag. She like this was such an incredible. This is a phenomenal failure. This was a phenomenal. Bernie's at the top of the ticket. It's a progressive wave. You got people in the streets not protesting, like partying like for 2 weeks up until election day. Like it's a wave, and it'll carry with you Congress. So all you people who said Hillary's the most electable candidate, and we have to do what's best for the party and back Hillary during the primaries, like you were just so wrong that you, Jamal Bowie, the rest of you should just like go home. Just stop. Stop calling yourself a Democrat because you're bad at your job. You're not a Democratic strategist. You're awful. You're awful. You sunk the entire party by backing the wrong horse.
And what we got to say about the FBI? The FBI came out and put a dagger in her kind of, because they came out and kind of said, we got something, and then they said, but we don't got something.
Yeah, but the FBI, like, she was under investigation. What are you doing, like, nominating a candidate who's under FBI investigation when you have a candidate who's not under FBI investigation?
I couldn't get a credit card if I was under FBI investigation. I couldn't get a job, and you want to be president under FBI investigation. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Y'all ought to be ashamed. Oh, do we have another caller?
Let's see what we have here.
Shame.
Go on ahead, you're on the air.
I'm calling you back because I got disconnected. I wasn't finished. I don't know if you hung up.
When it's time to go, I'm just hang up on people. I'm sorry, everybody.
No, I know. I'm just joking. I just wanted to make 2 points. One on the protesting right now.
Okay.
Right now, we've all watched a lot of videos where it shows that these protesters are paid, or so a lot of people have a mixed feeling. So the message isn't going to get carried as much as people think it wants to be. And then there's never a solution based. Here's a write out. These are the demands that we want. We're just going to protest, and we don't even really know what we're protesting for. So we're now just continuing to divide the country and get people angry when we should be thinking about what's the next move, if you're going to build a new movement, what party you're going to go into, because I think the Democratic Party is very damaged and it just can't be saved. But it's also about accountability. It's almost in this election, black people just seem to be willing to be okay to accept any criminal thing as long as it came from a Democrat or mainstream media.
That's absolutely right.
Agenda. So we just accepted any criminal action But we don't have that same mercy when we have to go to jail, or you smoke a joint and you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life. And I'm really concerned that I just heard a lot of, well, this is politics and that's what they do. They're all criminals or they're all that. And aren't we supposed to fight against those things?
Yes.
We're not supposed to approve of it. And I feel it's the lack of knowledge of actually searching topics and actually knowing about the politics behind the individual that is running, their positions. I could name a lot of, there was a lot of black people I talked to that couldn't even tell me the policies of Hillary Clinton. It was just, I'm just voting for her because it's blue. So I think we need to move away from that, type of mindset and really actually educate ourselves on policies, actually educate ourselves on what branches are in our government. A lot of us don't even know how many states we have anymore. We've dumbed down ourselves to just whatever mainstream media. I could put 10 black people in a row and say, this happened. They say no, and they will all recite what mainstream media is. But then when you ask them a policy point, they can't tell you. And it makes us look like a bunch of idiots, and we wonder why white people think the way they do about us.
So I take it you're not in the street protesting, Elizabeth. You're not gonna go to the protest and hang out and have boots on the ground and shout and stand in front of cars. You're not gonna block traffic. You're not gonna block traffic.
It's not gonna be out you on the 5. You're not gonna be out there on the 5.
If I want change, I'm gonna write a policy paper and say this is what I want, and I'm gonna go with this information because I know I can get change that way. I've gotten a lot of our bills changed. I've advocated a lot. I'm not going to go waste my time to snapshot and let everybody see me look like an idiot on news so I can say I'm protesting. What am I protesting? What are you protesting? I bet you if you ask those people what you're protesting, just to call somebody racist, sexism, Hillary's on the same page. She's the most racist person. Her record of the crime bill, 3 strikes you're out, she's been running all this time. Why the whole time, since she's been running, since the crime bill, has she not tried to have it removed? Has she not tried to reform the prison system? Has she not tried to do anything for the black community? The last time she was down there is when she was running for president.
Let me just say this, and thank you for calling back in, Elizabeth. But let me just say this. The one thing I said if Hillary Clinton wants the vote of black people, what she should do is tell us what she's going to do to repeal every damaging policy that her husband put in place and the ramifications from those policies. That's what I needed her to answer to. I didn't need her to answer to any of the other stuff. So I agree. I don't know why you're protesting right now unless you just want your Instagram to be on fire. I don't know what you're doing. So I think we do. I think the comment that Elizabeth made just kind of goes to what we need to do right now in terms of it's time to get serious. And just jumping in the street and protesting because you don't like who got elected is not a serious approach to politics. That's not seriously how you deal with policies that disadvantage your community. This is not a serious reaction. So I don't think there's anything to be gained from anybody protesting Trump right now. The only thing that does is creates more division. You already got a lot of these people. Some of these Trump voters are white people and they haven't liked a lot of stuff. And we're out here for if you're going to be out in the street, like get in there for a reason. How you going to be out in the street because somebody elected a president you don't like? So I agree with that. Go ahead.
Well, when you have this balance, look what we have. So if we would have got Hillary, we would have got the TPP. We would have gotten more Wall Street. We would have gotten corruption completely. And think about this. When you wanted to go vote for a third party, it was almost you was a coon, you was a sellout, you were harassed. It was almost like the black roundup slaves that would run around and find their master slaves and round you back up and say, get back on the plantation because freedom is, you can't have that freedom. So we've missed even having the freedom to be able to go vote for whoever we want. We want to vote for, a frog. We should be able to do that. But to be held hostage to a party that doesn't offer you anything, nothing but to say, on every 4 years, I'm going to pat your heads, I'm going to come out and eat some fried chicken with you, And that's all you get. Look at Flint. Jay-Z's up there doing concerts with him while Flint still had poison water. Where's Obama on that? Where's Hillary on that? Nowhere to be found.
No.
But we're going to keep voting for them just because.
Yeah, just because they're black like us. And they're Democrats. So that's all that matters. So that's kind of where we are. But I think something has to give. I think this is our point where something has to give. We can't keep going down this road. And I think that's why I think this is a hopeful, people look at me like I'm crazy. But I think this is a hopeful moment. I think this is a hopeful moment. And I thank you for the call, Elizabeth. But I think this is a hopeful moment for us to do something different in terms of black politics. We're going to take one last call.
I think this is a hopeful moment. I thank you for the call.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
How you doing?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, turn off your television.
Turn off your radio, or your laptop that's broadcasting.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I hear myself in the background.
Okay, I turned it off.
Thank you.
So I just want to call Yvette. You know, I've been following you for a while. You make me angry, but I definitely feel like you're a critical thinker, and I think that's very important. I think that's the most important thing, is just finding people who actually can think. So I was thinking about this election, and I just want to know, what do you think about Black Lives Matter? Like, and I heard rumors that they were financed by the Soros or whoever, or whatever his name is, and just they had money coming in. And I look at, I feel that was something that made we know that racism, white supremacy is a real thing, but I feel like with 2016 was just such a volatile year, and people were so angry, and there was Black Lives Matter and Black consciousness rising. Do you feel that had even more of an impact on the white people going out and saying, we are definitely voting for Trump? You know what I'm saying? We're so angry, and seeing Black people actually rise up or have some sense or some level of consciousness, whether it's valid or not. Do you think that contributed to folks really addition of that backlash outside of just financial issues or economic issues that white people are facing now? How do you feel Black Lives Matter impacted that? And then quickly, my last piece would be Colin Kaepernick. White people watching football, seeing him with his protest, kneeling down, and then last night saying he did not vote, period. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I want to thank you. What's your name?
My name's Kimberly.
Hey, Kimberly. I don't like referring people to caller as caller. I thank you, Kimberly. But in terms of what we might call the spectacle of Black death, I think Black Lives Matter was a double-edged sword. I think Hillary Clinton would never have addressed, calling Black people a super predator had it not been for Black Lives Matter. Had it not been for the young woman who interrupted her and said, I'm not a super predator. That would not have happened. So I think you have to give Black Lives Matter some credit for forcing her to kind of deal with our issues on some level, because I don't think she had any plan to do so. But I also think, regardless of whether it's right or wrong, I don't think that Black Lives Matter is something that we're going to be hearing a lot of in terms of, because this is Trump country right now. I mean, Trump didn't just defeat Hillary Clinton. I mean, he wiped the floor. He wiped the floor with her. And they don't want to hear that. Trump has told you he's the law and order candidate. He don't want to hear that anymore. And I think we have to, I totally understand, and in terms of what's happening to Black people, in terms of being over-policed, and Black men especially being killed by the police and put in cages. But I think what we have to do is we have to try to start focusing on policy that impacts those things, as opposed to just publicizing the last shooting and talking about how angry we are. We got a lot of people in the Black community who, every time something happens, what they do is they publicize it, but there's not a lot of planning, not a lot of work into doing anything about it. So I think it's time to pivot in that direction. In terms of Colin Kaepernick, I approve of what he's doing, and to a certain extent, I think that I don't think that he is, or we should necessarily be afraid of any kind of backlash to that extent. But any kind of white backlash. But I got to tell you, I think football. I don't know how long football is going to be here. I saw a study that showed that they were polling people who like football, and those people saying they watch less football now because of Colin Kaepernick. Because the job of a football player, Colin Kaepernick and all of these black football players, your job isn't to go play football. Your job is to keep black people striving and to look like the successful, happy black person. That's your job. Your job is to come out every Sunday and show people what a black successful person looks like. And I'm fighting on this field, and I work hard, and I work out, and I have a successful family. This is social engineering. So when you have a lot of black football players who are not serving that purpose, I don't think you have white people who are as engaged or who really want to watch football anymore. Because they want to feel good about black people too. White people don't want to watch football to feel guilty about what they're doing to black people. So that's not why they tune in on Sunday. The white guy who watches football is not tuning in because he wants to feel bad about how he's treating black people. So or how black people are being treated in this country. Football is Sunday. It's time for them to come from church. If they don't go to church, it's time for them to get some wings and feel good. They don't want to be made to feel bad. So I think whether or not he realized it, Colin Kaepernick may be expediting what I think, given the concussion and brain injury, may be the beginning of the end of football. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm tired of all these black people who keep other black people striving and saying, you can be just like me. No, you can't. You probably can't, because they never tell you, like you see Steph Curry in a commercial. Steph Curry is in a commercial with a bunch of kids that are looking like they from the ghetto. Steph Curry isn't from the ghetto. He had a father who was a basketball player. He grew up in a mansion. But he doesn't tell you the things that happened in his life that probably won't happen in your life. He doesn't tell you the advantages that he had as being Steph Curry that you'll never have. He doesn't tell you. You look at Steph Curry. He's light-skinned. He's about my complexion. He has light eyes. He doesn't tell you the advantages of being light-skinned versus these kids who are in his commercials. So I don't have any problem with the ending of football, basketball, and all of it, because I understand that it's social engineering. He's not there to sell me. He's not there trying to sell me to try to play basketball. LeBron James isn't there to play basketball. These people are there to sell crap to me and sell crap to white kids too. And so I understand what this is supposed to be and what it means. So I don't have any problem with whichever way it goes. But I think Colin Kaepernick, I think he has the right idea. But hey, I don't think the white people are going to respond to it in a way that's beneficial for football or football players. But I'm fine with that, because I don't see any reason why black men should go and tear up their bodies for 6-7 years of fame, and then you're living like a geriatric. So I'm fine with it all being done. So I want to thank you, Breaking Brown family. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Now remember, last night was Tuesday night. That was a special election night special. But from now on, we're on Monday and Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week, we're coming to you to discuss politics. And so I want to thank everybody who came in to Breaking Brown Live. Thank everybody who watched via YouTube. You can go to breakingbrown.com and you can .com at breakingbrown.com, and you can donate to the show to try to keep us coming. We got a lot of equipment around here. We feeling fancy, but not quite fancy enough. So I've been bothering Iron me about getting this $2,000 Skype equipment thing. It just looks fancy. And we can do interviews with people that I want to talk to and bring and a marketing budget. But I want to do these interviews. I want to do these interviews with these people. So anyway, breakingbrown.com if you want to donate. Remember, share this video on your pages. If you're on YouTube, share it. If you're on Facebook, share it. And let's see if we can get this conversation started, and we can change black politics, people. That's the key. Let's change black politics. So thank you for tuning in, everybody. I appreciate it.